Hi Abdullah, hi Catherine, hi Tanvi. Can I call you Tanvi or Dave? Officially, we're expected to start at 2 o'clock, but give and take 2-3 minutes, please. I'll wait until others will be able to join. Usually, we're like 5 minutes late. I hope you don't mind. Hello again, Abdullah. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Hi, Catherine. How are you? Yeah, I can see your message now. So we have Catherine. She can hear me. I'll wait for Abdullah and Tanvi. Tanvi, you're typing a message. It means you're on board. I hope there are no problems. So Tanvi, unfortunately, I'm having technical issues at my end, working on the same. Yeah, don't worry about that. We'll wait for you for a couple of minutes. Such things are always bound to happen. But yes, I hear everything. Now, during the webinar, I'll be talking slowly, yeah? And I'll put the slide for some time before moving or jumping to the other topic. So if you need to get back to the previous slide or anything of the sort, please don't hesitate to type it in the chat box. Tanvi, please notify us when everything is okay with you. Abdullah, this is excellent. Okay, I think we shall start just to save on everybody's time. But before that, allow me to type something for Tanvi. Tanvi, is everything okay? Okay, I guess I'll start. I'll start slowly with the introduction. And again, as a quick reminder, if you need me to pause, repeat a couple of statements or something, don't hesitate to write something instantly in the chat box. Formally, good afternoon, hello, and welcome to Meirc's webinar titled High Impact Learning Architecture for HR Professionals. My name is Mohammed Jamil, and I'm a management consultant at Meirc. I joined Meirc like 1.5 years ago, but before that, I have served for 12 years, working as an internal or external learning and development advisor for public sector and private companies. My mission was to provide learning solutions. I have operated as a profit center, even when fully employed by a specific company or organization. This contributed to the credibility of the units that I have served and brought along some challenges to deliver solutions to where every dollar invested would yield results in accordance with nominators and nominees' expectations. I have succeeded to establish an internationally accredited retail academy, build partnerships with reputable universities, and design human management capital schemes that rotated around functional and operational development requirements. My takeaway from those years is that it doesn't always work. Yes, it doesn't. No matter how good and credible the training institutes that you deal with are, no matter how specific you can be with your nomination process, whether automated or done through an extensive lists, there will be disregarded factors that would contribute negatively to your efforts. Such challenges can be and will be minimized if you design your process while considering those things and focusing primarily on your internal customers. Within this context, I have decided to hold this webinar to share with you the basis on how to design T&A frameworks for job families within your organizations, using HR as an example. I call that the Meirc T&A model. The model was simply designed to assist nominators structure the process. My presentation is expected to stretch over 25 to 30 minutes, during which you can type your questions as we go. I will be monitoring those. Hi, Raju. I will be monitoring those and will be answering the slide-specific questions and on the spot, and of course, deferring those until the others until the end. But before I start, allow me to start by a quick poll. You must see a kind of a survey in front of you. It's a small round of opinion to identify current perception of challenges to training needs and associated nominations. The question is simply, what are the major challenges facing L&D professionals before or after nominating staff? It means before you nominate or after they return back to the workplace and they evaluate. Is it that T&A process can be a chaotic process and might end up with unmanageable lists? Or course contents did not match the proficiency level of participants? The proficiency level, I mean the level, it might be above or below. The third one, courses did not focus on technical competency development or career progression requirements. Courses did not provide learning solutions or do not tap on the how, but is refrained or is limited only to the what to do. Or impact evaluation is frequently limited to happy sheets rather than skill or behavioral change. Please choose one or more of the below that you think portrays mostly to your current situation. Okay, I'll give it additional 30 seconds to end the vote. Or simply you can notify me when you're done, please, on the chat in the chat box. Done, Raju, Amber done. Rita, welcome on board. Okay, I will end the voting now. Okay, what do you think scored the most? Hmm, I can see those and I will share them with you in a while. Hold on. Okay, according to your perception, the number one which goes or which had 44% is that courses do not focus on the technical competency development or career progression needs of people. The second one is the Q&A can be a chaotic process and might end up with unmanageable lists. Beautifully said. And actually, this actually complies with the objectives of our webinar today. The thing is, department heads often struggle with what training courses to choose or approve to their staff. Should it be a general course, a specific certification, or a workshop? What about how the knowledge should be transferred to the workplace after the trainees return? To what extent changes can be accommodated? What will contribute to learners' motivation and engagement level? And if all went well, what would be the next step? Such queries are not limited to specific departments or divisions, whereby in-company learning and development units struggle to simplify the nomination process in accordance with several parameters. Such parameters can be, but not limited to, of course, the level of proficiency displayed in engagement and readiness levels of nominees, performance gaps, which was the result of our polls, and development and growth requirements. In a nutshell, the objectives of this webinar today are two. The first one is to provide multiple frameworks for nominating HR professionals to training programs and to maximize benefits to participants during training courses through targeted selection. Now, how this can be done? How this can be done? From Meirc's perspective, it all rotates around the nominator in particular. And we have decided to design three different frameworks in accordance with that. Let's start with the first one. If the nominators or the nominee are looking at their professional seniority, how long they have been occupying this particular job, how many years they have been working for a particular organizations, or how proficient or engaged, and then they need to adopt this approach in particular. The second framework actually deals with the competency gap and development needs. What do I mean by that? For example, you sit for an appraisal with your manager, and then specific competencies are highlighted as gaps for you, and you need to close on those, whether behavioral or functional technical. And the third one is directly correlated with the job level and career development stage of an employee. If you're looking at the first one, which is the professional seniority, and then the HR proficiency model is for you. If you're looking to close a specific competency gap, and then the competency development model is for you. And last but not least, the career-led model. This is as far as the introduction is concerned. Let's dive into the first one, which is the HR proficiency model. Okay, allow me to explain this. This model is based on the fact that training courses must meet the levels of engagement and readiness level of nominees and align expectations to maximize impact. The model distinguishes between four different levels: the fundamental, superior, expert, and mastery. And those are, in this order, the proficiency level of employees. In this particular case, for HR people. Mind you, this model doesn't include a time factor. Why I'm saying that? Because some of the individuals in a specific department sometimes stay for 5, 7 years and they're quite okay where they are. Huh? And then they need to stick to this proficiency level. Others, they spend like 6 or 5 months and then ready to step into the step afterwards, and eventually time would be a factor that would fire back on you if you intend to use this model. To explain it further, the fundamental. This is limited to the general awareness, knowledge, and skill building courses designed to increase the level of involvement. In other words, if this individual is new in a specific department or in your department, and then you list the awareness level courses under this one. The second level, which we consider or we call it the superior, This level focuses on the technical skill building courses and workshops. Such interventions or courses aggregated under this level are associated with certifications, assessments, or projects that would enable learners to implement learning within their specialized operational context. The third level is what we call the expert level. This level focuses on global trends and system design courses. Such courses would enable nominees to lead or implement fundamental changes to HR systems and processes. In other words, if you have, for example, a performance management system that you need to launch, and then those would be the course or the course cluster that you need to look upon. Last but not least is what we call the master level. The level focus on strategy and macro-analysis courses that is dedicated to those with strategic or transformational roles and or responsibilities within their HR function. Now, the four levels over here can be named in accordance with your competency levels. For example, and I don't know if you use competency frameworks, but if you do so, and then the competencies must be leveled 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or probably you can give them names. In a nutshell, those can be changed, the names that are written here, and can be changed to comply with your competency frameworks. Now, the only challenge that can be presented by this module is that the list of courses that you choose to list below. Of course, you cannot see those clearly, but in a couple of weeks, all of this information will be published on our website, and you can have this model as a reference. But mind you, the list of courses under each and every level needs to be determined by the strategic directives or performance needs in your company. And you just can't just gather courses from simply the providers that you have. Why? Because you never know what exists in those courses in particular. This is as far as this model is concerned. I stop and I'll dive now into the competency development framework. The model looks like this. It was created to close performance gaps as previously indicated. And those gaps can be identified during appraisal meetings or probably outside as appraisal meetings. It simply lists all possible training courses for specific behavioral and technical competency clusters. And I'll explain this in a bit. The behavioral clusters listed in this model are generic, yeah, and can be associated with any existing in your company. What's distinctive about this model actually is that this axis are simply the behavioral competency can be crossed with the technical competencies existing above. I'll give you an example. Over here, you can see the courses grouped per HR function or technical expertise. For example, the HR technical expertise can be administration, can be compensation and benefits, recruitment, employee relations, performance management, training and development, and so on and so forth. And over here, hold on. And over here, you can see a group of universal behavioral competencies. I would like to call them competency clusters. Why? Because it gathers several competencies under one cluster just for ease of use purposes. And how this model works in particular. You just highlight any competency gap, let's say presenting and communicating information, and you move along the horizontal line. Now, each and every X, I'll take you back to the slide, probably it's clearer. Each and every X written on this slide or along this row corresponds to a training course that is suitable to close this particular competency gap. And of course, you cannot choose an X belonging to the compensation and benefit if you operate within the admin function. And you cannot eventually you cannot choose one from recruitment and selection, and the opposite is true. So actually, the beauty of this model in particular is that it gives you freedom and flexibility left, right, and center, and it crosses definitely the behavioral together with the technical competency. Now, those axes can be also replaced by levels. What do I mean by that? You can replace the X by level 1, 2, 3, or 4 in accordance with your competency framework. And of course, you can remove this row and replace it by the different functions for different job families, let's say marketing, business development, technical engineering, or whatsoever the type of industry that you're operating with. The third one is what we call the career ladder framework. Okay, and I'll jump immediately to explain about this framework. What has been done over here actually is that the designations existing within job family are listed on this row. If we take the HR as an example, and then the designations would be an administrator, officer, specialist, team leader, manager, and business partner. Not to forget line managers. Why? Because sometimes line managers do take courses related or that are directly correlated to HR. And then on the what do you call this? On the y-axis that you can see over here under my cursor, I have also clustered the functions within the HR department. Human resource and administration, compensation and benefits, etc., etc. But this time I follow this column. For example, if I'm an administrator and then the axis within specific functions refers to the courses that are suitable for me. What about if I'm an administrator and I'm being prepared to go or to jump into an officer position, and then I choose the axis within the same function, but from the officer designation rather than from the administrator designation? Yes, eventually you can see that this model in particular can best suit companies, nominators, or nominees within the context of talent management. It can simply tell you what is the coming course or the next course that you need to attend in accordance to your function in particular. Needless to mention, the designations over here can be substituted according to the job family that you're working with, and the functional clusters can be substituted with those for the function that you're working with. What's nice about the three models, and before I actually conclude, is that the three models are associated with what I call the 1, 2, 3 steps approach. What do I mean by that? First, it asks the nominator or the user about what does he or she intends or the impact from this model or what the expected output. For example, for the competency development model, the questions would be, are you looking to develop your competence for a specific HR job? If yes, follow the next two steps. If no, and then check another model. And then if you don't check another model and follow this one, and then it goes ahead and asks you, choose a competency that you wish to develop from the vertical list on the left-hand side on the table and move along the axis or the rows. Eventually, each and every axis that you choose would correlate to any training course that would be suitable for you. And again, why do I stress or manage or include the simplicity factor? Because sometimes you need to use this with your people or with your nominees or nominators, and sometimes you need to push it through an email and allow them to do it. Needless to mention, this can be automated as well. Do I have any questions? No. I'll give you some time later on for some questions, but before that, allow me please to start another poll. Now, in the beginning, we discussed challenges and obstacles facing learning and development professionals all through the Middle East. And after giving or sharing with you some solutions, I would kindly ask you, and in accordance with what we have seen, your opinions about the following. Improving the impact of your job, of your function, or of the L&D functions in your companies can be achieved through structuring the nomination process with equal focus on functional and behavioral requirements, or defining impact expectations by line managers or nominees before joining courses, or through the provision of specific rather than generic outcomes of training courses by providers, or access to nominations list within designations to choose sessions with the required participant mix. And I stress or allow me to explain this further, the last one. It means if you intend to send a particular person for a public training course with a specific company, and then probably you need to ask about the participants list and their designations. The names are not important, but designations and the companies are quite important because I'm one of the firm believers that learning happens in a lateral way rather than only in a vertical way with the consultant. Please start your votes. I'll give you like 60 seconds for this one. And please, if you finished your vote, take this time or use the rest of the time allocated for the vote to type in your questions. 5 people voted, still 5 to go. Okay, I'll go ahead and end the vote now and share the results with you. Okay, according to your votes, the top priority would be the provision of specific rather than generic outcomes of training courses by providers. And this is an external job. Definitely, this is not an internal job. Now, training providers are many out there, and everybody or every training institute will write a specific brief about the training course, but most of the time it's not that indicative. So over here, it's up to you, and I encourage you, just go ahead and dive deeper within the topic. And it would be good most of the time, rather than sometimes, to talk with the consultant rather than the marketing units or the nomination departments within those companies. As far as I'm concerned, those I know, many of the reputable companies do provide this opportunity, so please do it. The second one is defining the impact expectations by line managers and nominees before joining the course. And over here, the best way to do that is actually to rely on technical and behavioral competency levels. This is the common language between line managers and HR units. In this, or taking this into consideration, and then the second module rotating around competency gap should be key for you. Last but not least, structuring the nomination process with equal focus on functional and behavioral requirements. Again, this falls again into the second model that we have presented today. What would happen next is actually the marketing department at Meirc will go ahead and share the presentations and will notify you once we are ready to publish the document or the models that actually you saw today in today's presentation. And I expect this to happen within the span of the coming next week. And if you don't have any questions, and I don't see any questions, and I will go ahead and close. Needless to mention, Meirc's HR consultants, business development executives, and marketing coordinators are available to answer your questions or further assist you customize any of the models to suit your requirements. Of course, you can design yours. Abdullah, I'll answer you in a bit. You can design yours and send it to us, and of course we can have a look and give you a couple of pieces of advice around what to change and what to keep. Abdullah had a question, so what is the right answer? The right answer, there is no right answer, Abdullah, over here. There is what is suitable for you. And I have chosen those 4 particular pillars, yeah, or ways in order to improve the impact of what we do, because the four can be correlated with what we are doing. Nonetheless, sometimes the external company or the training providers doesn't provide enough informations, and you send the people and you pay for them, and then they come back screaming at you, oh, this is not the course, I needed this and that. So what is the solution over here is talk to those people. But it needs to start with this one, defining the impact expectations by null managers and nominees before joining the course. And again, as mentioned, you need to use the available competency framework that exists within your company. Before I close, you're welcome, Abdullah. And you can email us or call us at any time. Our names and numbers are on the website. Before I close, Tanvi, Dave is typing now. I'll wait for Tanvi's question. Of course. I will type in my email address. It's mjamil@meirc.com, and together with my professional mobile number, if you send an inquiry, please allow for like around 24 hours before I answer back. Usually I do answer and I'm quick, but after 3 p.m. by time, as I might be engaged in either public training courses or consultancy services. Thank you. Thank you all for participating. I hope you benefited from this. And again, you're more than welcome to contact us as you need. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Meirc.com